Hello? Hello? Can you see me? Oh, hey. Okay. So do most of your video calls start like that? I found now more and more that we're doing these video calls, our video calls are starting accidentally, right? Where we're trying to find the camera, we're trying to turn on the microphone, and typically our opening first impression is, can you see me? Can you hear me? So in this video, I want to talk about how to make a good first impression on video specifically. There's some really easy tricks I'm going to teach you so you can nail a great first impression on video every single time. The very first thing you have to know about making a good video first impression is space. Now, this is something we don't have to worry about in person. So what most people don't realize is that between people, there are spatial rules. So typically there are 4 zones of space. The fancy word for this is proxemics. And there are 4 zones. So there's the public zone, the social zone, the personal zone, and then the intimate zone. And the intimate zone is only reserved for people that we're most close to. That's about 1.5 feet away from each other. The issue here is that in person, we understand these space rules without even having to think about it. So I would walk up to you at a coffee shop or at a networking event, and I would never say, "Hi, nice to meet you. Can you see me? Can you hear me?" Ooh, right? That was horrible. But on video, all these space rules are thrown out the window because we're interacting through screens. So the number one thing you want to know is your first impression on video should be at least 1.5 feet away from your camera. I don't know if you noticed, but at the start of this video, when I was really close, it should have made you feel a little bit uncomfortable. In fact, the closer I go, it's horrible, right? You're like, no, please back up. I know it's terrible. And that's because when someone is in our intimate space, it makes our amygdala activate where we process fear because we think someone's going to threaten us. And even though we're on camera, that still triggers. So the very first thing I want to make sure that you do is back up your camera so it's at least 1.5 feet away. And this brings me to step number 2, hands. Your hands are a critical part of your charisma. If you've watched my TED Talk, which hopefully you have, I talked about how seeing someone's hands shows their intention. So not only do I want you at least 1.5 feet away from the camera, and be sure never to get too close, because that's too much, it's the other biggest mistake that we make is we only have our video camera on our face. So someone just has their face showing, but none of their actual body. So if I were to try to teach you this entire video without my torso, without my hands, you would actually have a really hard time keeping track, keeping pace. But the moment I stand back and I have my hands in the camera, your brain goes, I can see her intention. And that's because we use hands for 2 things. One is trust. We like to see someone's hands because it shows intention. Again, even though we're over video, this still happens. In person, we're constantly looking at hands to see, are we going to shake hands? Are they going to wave at me? Are we going to hug? Are we going to high five? So we're constantly looking at hands for signs of trust. On video, we like to see hands that still remains because we want to see, can I see intention? And that's the second reason why hands are important, is it shows our competence. Really competent speakers are able to very basically outline their concepts along with their words. So if I were to say, today I have 3 different ideas. I'm going to talk to you about 3 different things. Your brain is like, no, it's 5, Vanessa. I can see that it's 5. By the way, that was really hard for me to do. I really wanted to say 3 and then go 3, but it was really hard to force my brain to lie with my hands. And that's because your hands are truth tellers. It's really hard to make a fake hand gesture. Just right now, if you want, try saying the number 3, but hold up the number 5. 3. It's so weird. Now do the opposite. Say 5 and hold up 3. 5. It's 5 things. Oh, it's so weird. It's so hard in your brain. Or if I try to get my hand gesture to even lie in terms of importance. So if I were to say, I have something really big to tell you. It's really big. It's really important. Even my brain is like, no, make it bigger. Make it this big. Make it huge. So we use hand gestures to emphasize our concepts and words. This helps us as speakers as well as listeners. So the second thing here is to make sure not only is your camera 1.5 feet back, but also that your hands are visible, or at least the top part of your torso, so that when you are using your hands, people can see them. The third thing that you have to do on video is to smile and wave at the dot. This is again something that doesn't happen in person. So in person, I would tell you to smile, make eye contact, and try to approach with a handshake or a high five. But on video, we can't do a lot of those things. Even eye contact is different. So for example, if I wanted to look at you, I would be looking down here. That's where the video is. But if I want to make eye contact with you, I need to look at the dot, which is right there. And so this is really important. In your first few seconds of your video, when that video call pops on, don't look at you, which is where you want to look at the dot. A little key here is we tend to look at ourselves. We want to see, does our hair look okay? Is our shirt okay? Is our background okay? So please, please, please open up your photo booth or your video camera before you get on the call to do all the checking. That is sort of my pre-video call routine. I have a little pre-video call routine. Before I get on any video call, I very quickly open my photo booth, open my camera, check my sound, check my lighting, make sure everything's okay, make sure I don't have anything on my teeth, right? I check that really quickly so that when that first few seconds happens and my video pops on, I'm not tempted to look at myself. So in those first few seconds, make sure you look right at the dot, right at the camera where the other person is, because then they will get oxytocin. So oxytocin, where are you? Oxytocin. Okay, oxytocin is one of my favorite chemicals and it is essential for bonding. In person, we get lots of oxytocin and it happens through mutual gazing, through touch, through hugs, through handshakes. On camera, it's much harder to get it, but it is possible. And the way that we get oxytocin over video cam is by making eye contact. The problem is if I'm looking like this and you're looking like this, we're actually not getting eye contact. So the best way that we can give oxytocin is to try to look at the dot as much as possible, which is why I try to deliver to you the dot as much as I possibly can, because that helps build your oxytocin. The other thing that I like to do here is right off the bat, my first impression is I almost always try to give some kind of nonverbal greeting. Typically, this is a smile and a wave. Hey, good morning. How are ya? I like this nonverbal greeting because just in case their sound isn't on or they're not sure if they can hear you, their first glimpse of you, even if their sound isn't working, is this, which is very positive and very open. It has some sort of a greeting. So always, always, the moment I hit go on my video camera, I'm like, hey, good morning. Hey, how are ya? And I usually have a throwaway line here, something really simple like, hey, good morning, hey, good afternoon, hey, how are you? Something really simple because I'm not sure if they can see me or hear me yet, right? Nothing is worse than hi, do you hear me? Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Hi, hi, oh, hi, right? Nothing's worse than like the multiple start overs. So that way it's something really casual that you can just say, hey, good morning. And then I'll usually wait a beat to see if I can hear them back. And this is the critical piece to not having your awkward interaction is, hey, good morning, some kind of very easy verbal, just in case they can't hear you with the nonverbal, and then waiting to see, can you see them and hear them? And this brings me to step number 4, which is positive reinforcement. What is everyone nervous about at the start of a video call? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Is my technology working? That's what people are always worried about. So the very first thing I do is I have my first impression, hey, good to see you. And I wait a beat to see, can I see them? Can I hear them? If I can see them and hear them, I immediately give them positive reinforcement. I'm like, I can see you and hear you perfectly. It's so wonderful to be here with you. So that is usually the second thing out of my mouth is I can see you and hear you perfectly. You will visibly see people go, oh, great. Well, that's wonderful. Let's get started. Basically, I'm circumventing all that awkward, can you, I can see, I can see you. Yeah. I'm trying to bypass that awkward back and forth by immediately giving them positive reinforcement. What if you can't see or hear them? This is when you say, I can see you perfectly, but I can't hear you. Try that microphone down at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. That way, I feel like I am in complete control in those first few seconds. The weird thing that's happening on video calls, we feel really out of control with, can they see me? Can they hear me? Is my tech working? Is their tech working? And so by having a nonverbal greeting, a really easy verbal line, hey, good to see ya, and then an immediate positive reinforcement, I can see you and hear you perfectly. It gives you control and it gives you such a confident first impression. This is how I start all of my interviews, all of my team calls, all of my pitches, all my negotiations, and it helps everyone feel like, we got this handled. The last thing, step number 5, is a little bit of a bonus, is I like to prepare my small talk for videos. Now, I'm a planner because I'm a recovering awkward person. For those of you who have read Captivate, you know this. I like to make sure that I ward off any awkwardness at the start. And I found that a lot of video calls, they start with that awkwardness and then they go like this. Whew, so those numbers, COVID numbers, horrible, huh? Those wildfires, wow. Oof. Man, it's been so stressful, so busy, so crazy. Isn't that bad? The weather is awful. For some reason, a lot of our video calls are starting on this horrible negative. I don't think we really mean to. I just think it's a default because we don't know what else to say. So what I want you to do is I want you to prep your small talk for something positive. So this can be as small as, oh, we're having beautiful weather here. How about in your neck of the woods? Or did you have a lovely weekend? Did you do anything fun this weekend? Typically on Mondays, I ask, did you do anything fun this past weekend? On Fridays, I ask, are you going to do something fun this weekend? And on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I don't talk to anyone. No, that's not true. On Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I ask, are you doing anything exciting this week? That way it's a casual but positive start that helps them go, oh, yeah, we're going to a little harvest festival this weekend, which should be really fun. Oh, how wonderful. Our family's doing, and it helps you start on a positive note. So I like to prep my small talk, and that video warm up that I talked about, I check my camera and I also think, okay, what is the opener I want to talk about? Is there anything kind of positive I can bring up? You're actually giving people a gift. And because of that, you're not only creating a first impression for that video, but you're also creating a lasting impression where people will remember that, wow, talking to that person was really nice. It was really pleasant. I felt calm. I felt relaxed. I felt like I was in good hands. And that's the point, is these 5 steps take the first 3 to 5 seconds of a video, but they are critical for helping people remember you, for helping you feel more charismatic, and helping you feel more confident on your video calls. So try these 5 steps in your next video call. Let me know how they go. Put in the comments below if you have any other tips for your video calls. We also have a bunch of other great videos on tips for video and Zoom fatigue and trying to survive in more of a virtual world. If you liked this video, please give this video a like. And if you want more videos like this, subscribe to our channel. We have a lot more coming.